Okay, you all please stand for this pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All the mics are on.
Thank you, everyone. Welcome to this, the
Thanks.
regular meeting of the Pipestone County Commissioners. This is May 23rd, and it's 9 o'clock. Serving today, we have got Commissioner Lou Johnson, Commissioner Doug Nagel, Commissioner Dallas Rossman, Commissioner Chris Hollingsworth, myself, Dan Holden. Also, our county administrator, Steve Ewing, and our county HR director, Kathy Fest. Then also first on our agenda, then will be a report from our county highway engineer, Nick Bergman. But before we get to that, you all got a packet in the mail, and also was a packet posted online. And that was the agenda. Steve, you got some adjustments to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I do. Consent agenda item number 2. We have add-on commissioners warrants this morning for $76,749.21. 76,749.21. And time change. I'm going to give more time to the Hometown Fiber Zoom video, so we're going to run that from 10 until 11. So we'll have Bill Folger and Mike Heyman come in at 11 o'clock for the open access GIS in the North Hiawatha Tower. And then as long as Mike's here, we'll have him about 11:15 for the anti-heroin task force joint powers agreement. Under other business, please delete the Juneteenth holiday resolution as an action item. I do not have any information from the state legislature as to where that stands, if it's going to, the governor signed it or did not sign it to be a holiday. We will take that item up at our June 13th board meeting. And then lastly, I just have an item on there, Commissioner's Employee Appreciation Grill Out. That should be coming up. We should chat about that for a few minutes before we adjourn today. And Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Anybody else?
Well, I put the hospital board decisions today and.
Oh, you are correct. Yeah. Yeah, better reschedule this next week.
Oh, right. Yeah, excuse me.
Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, I entertain a motion from the agenda. Move second for discussion. All in favor, aye. Anyone opposed, passes. Also in your packet there was the consent agenda, and you are there are 4 items. Approval of minutes from our 5/9 meeting, and also our special meeting of 5/17. The second item was the commission warrant. Got that dollar amount added, which was $76,749.21. Also, item 3, commission warrants from 5/12 and 5/19, and also hospital warrants of $998,425.80.
Chair, I move for approval.
Thank you. Thank you, Dallas. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Nick, we are ready for you, my friend. Got good news for us?
I think so. Well, good morning.
Morning.
All right, first up, for me to do the annual report follow-up. Anybody have a chance to review that or have any more questions about that? Of course, you can call, email anytime, whatever, let me know ahead of time. I just have a couple. Okay. Maybe in this, in the equipment list, I see you sold this fuel roller, you sold that small roller.
Yeah, the
I
engine,
didn't see the new one. You got a new one.
we didn't replace it yet.
Oh, I thought you did already.
No, we wanted to, but I don't want to buy a new one because they're so,
You haven't had to do that work yet.
no, but we will replace it, but I want to buy a used one because I can't justify a new one. And it's hard finding used stuff at a decent
Yeah,
value.
no, I got it.
No,
And
no,
then-
we have that.
The only other thing I had quick was in the 5-year plan, maybe you're gonna get to that. When you tell her 4 from 13 to 23, you know, again, it'd be nice if you could put, or take a lot, put in concrete from 23 to Cargo driveway. Just want to add that
We,
to your thoughts.
we could, it'd be like a, short segment, because you can't have concrete so close, you gotta stay so far away from the railroad to
You're right.
concrete. So it'd be bituminous for 50 to 100 feet, and it'd be concrete to their driveway. And then,
Yeah,
bituminous.
further, but, well, from 23, you could do a stretch to the railroad and. after
We
the railroad-
could,
I'm just asking.
okay, yeah, I'll make a note on here.
That gets more, it's been fixed. all the time.
Yeah, I remember you guys doing that.
Going to the west end from Cargill's driveway. Yeah, I know that gets a lot of traffic.
It's where they turn. into
Right,
Cargill,
turning.
And then right after the tracks.
Okay. Any other,
No, that's all I have.
okay, any other report questions?
No, I didn't, so I think we need to take action on accepting this
Mhm.
report. Don't give them.
Yep. Need a motion to do that?
Any further discussion about it, entertain a motion to accept next report, our annual report. Mr. Chair, move for approval. Thank you, Chris. I will second. So it's been moved and seconded that we approve, we acknowledge acceptance of the annual report presented by Nick Bergman. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you, Nick. It was an interesting read.
Next item I have is, if we would like to bid out our fuel for the second half of this year again, we should set an opening date for that.
What are you guys' thoughts?
Seems to be kind of the best way of doing it.
Yeah, it's worked out real well.
Yeah, I don't see why we would change that.
We're really happy with the big tank.
Yep.
Get the tanker in instead of constantly calling for the small loads. So, yeah, I'm fine keeping doing it.
I suppose we have to go June 27th to give you enough time, or
That'll be fine.
Okay. So then we need to take specific action on setting June 27th at what hour? Would you like to put for that?
So we've always done 10:30 on our projects. Because we have received a little bit via US mail before. But this, I'm not too worried about the fuel bid because it seems like there are always local people that hand deliver it the morning of because they update their price the morning of. And because they're marking,
So
so,
wow.
yeah. So I know we're usually at 10:30, but I don't personally feel that it needs to be 10:30.
It's not a burden for us.
For this.
We're gonna be here anyway, so whatever you want. type.
Yeah, it doesn't, whatever fits your schedule, that's fine.
yeah, so I'll move that we set it at 10:30 on the 27th of June.
Okay, we have a second, then to second, you will get opening for June 27th, 10:30 here in the commissioners' chambers. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you for that, Nick.
Yeah. All right, well, that leads us to the 5-year plan. This process starts in February or March, whenever we have the road bridge hearing. We take those comments, we look into those. Then we start, we take that with our new annual allotment. We kind of see how much money we think we'll have, based on the allotments, and we formulate a 5-year plan. One thing about the 5-year plan is it always changes. There's, we receive funding we didn't expect, project might move up because of it or something, but, it's our best shot and how to utilize our funds, so with that being said, jump into it here. For 2023. These are the overlays, all these but one are in the contract. And we have overlays on county roads 2, 5, 7, 10, 13, 15, 20, and 30. There's also a portion of our facade 47, it used to be 17, but it's now 47. That's for some work on Main Street, Edgerton. They're doing a utility project. Not sure if that's gonna be later this year or if that will be next year. I have a meeting set up to them, I think tomorrow, if I recall. We're gonna try to work on that just to see what we think will be best. One option we have is, you know, if they just cut trenches now, we would do an entire mill and overlay, the entire segment next year. So, I'll know more hopefully tomorrow. I think it is, so.
Don't you think in the end run, you could actually get a better product if you wait for one frost cycle and do the trench like that?
Yes, I think so. So if they end up not doing their work until next year, it might be such a thing to where we want to do the mill and overlay the year after that even, but I'm just going off our best guess for right now, but either way, we take that into consideration whenever we can work that out. We try to do it that way. Bridge work, bridge culvert work for this year. We hope to let the Stone Arch Bridge bonding comes through. We also have culverts on County Road 7, 73, 2 on 75. One for Troy Township, 2 for Altona, then another contract. Etna, another one for Troy, and 2 more for Altona. So lots of work going on in the Northwest this year. 2024, we are proposing seal coat project. Then we do have County Road 17 in there. We'd like to run tile down the center of that and put probably ballpark 6 inches of gravel on it. That's the segment that's been coming up almost yearly. Doug, I think, has fought that road most of his career. So we would like to use that the local levy funds we've been saving up for various years, depending on what source, but so between the local levy and the village tax, I think we can probably fund about this entire project, so.
And you found that tiling has been a pretty effective tool for improving.
Yes.
Soft spots there.
Yep, the one to the dairy out there, that blade operator has been keeping an eye on it. Steve Coyman, he's been around forever, so he knows what a good road looks like. He said it's, well, the improvements we did to that road really helps.
You know, you're saying gravel and tile, is that including like narrowing it up
Yes,
to where?
Yep.
Whatever specs supposed to be.
we would. It's a little dangerous saying this because if somebody cherry picks what I say, it might start a rumor, but we would probably say look from the top down. And if we ever did pave it, you know, this would be that width we would set it to.
Well, that was the original idea behind that road,
Right,
but then it just got pushed out over the years.
yes,
So
and we would,
just be bringing it back.
yeah, we'd probably, without being able to. We haven't put a lot of work into this yet. We took some cross sections just to get an idea, but I'd like to try to make it to where we can kind of just take that dirt that's been pushed out and maybe scarify it, just leave it all on the end slopes and just flatten them out to whatever it takes to make that work. But yes, it would likely mean pulling it into. That would help with drainage. You know, now part of the problem is that it's so wide, and I don't know if any of you are familiar, but County Road 15. I don't know if the mouse is showing up on your screen, but
Yeah, it is.
from south of Dars. Yep, south of Dars. So from right here where the mouse is down to there. That road got tiled, bunch of gravel added, and it was narrowed up. And you know, one of the residents that I talked to fairly regularly has made multiple comments on how that was. You kind of hate to see the width go, but he said overall it was the right thing to do. So
And
I assume that's
Probably the best gravel road in.
probably, yeah. So,
And as part of your apprehension, you don't want to telegraph people that we're going to pay, but that's not it. As you're doing this, you do it to the standard.
yeah, so I don't want people thinking that this means pavement's coming the next year, but I'm not gonna narrow it up so far to where it takes that off the table in the future. That's
The
maybe,
narrowing has got a lot to do with keeping a crown on it.
Yeah,
That's
so it drains.
Narrow it up.
yeah, and I say 6 inches of gravel, but without each crown, that might mean, maybe 6 on the outside and 9 in the middle to get some crown back in it, but either way, it'll be a healthy layer of gravel we put up there. If you recall, we've done that base 1 stabilizing agent before. It might be the right thing to do, but I'm not certain of that yet, because I'd hate for it to get really hard and then we can't really shape it anymore and it's potholy, so I just don't know enough about how that acts on the surface. The salesman says it's great, of course, but I don't want to be stuck with something so hard we can't do much with it, and then it's just too rough, we don't like it. Wish somebody around here would try it first, but
But you're gonna have to blade it, you know that.
Yeah.
It's gonna need every 2 or 3 weeks blade.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm probably leaning towards skipping that now, just because I'm not comfortable enough with that as surfacing. Like underneath, I like it, I think it's good stuff, but on the surface, I don't know, I'd like somebody else to try it, be the guinea pig first, I guess, so. So, yeah, that's that road, long time coming. I'll be really happy to have that done. Next up, we have a bunch of overlays scheduled. County Road 2, 11, 12, 2 segments of 16, 18, 23, 24, 92, and 94. Also, I listed Main Street in Edgerton again. We just talked about that in 23. Well, that all kind of depends on your utility timing. So I show it in 23 and 24, thinking that one of them will hit, but who knows if it gets late, maybe it'll be 25 and I'll be wrong on both of these. Also, you see, I have some notes on the work by Holland. We want to do everything we can to coordinate with them to, put more quantity out in that area, get a little bit better bid price, and hopefully bring. The biggest benefit would probably be to bring some of their bituminous costs down, because if it's just a small project they're doing, small quantity, they're probably paying. So I think it worked out fantastic when we did that in Highland. Probably wouldn't work that well in Holland just because of the timing. In Highland, we had a really large project right there and they were like ready to go now, but I mean, I would think it would work really well yet. So I would highly recommend doing it to happen.
That island project turned out really nice.
Yeah. Yep, I drove through it. I was really happy with it. If I was a resident, I'd be happy with it. They might need to do a little shouldering in spots. We'll see, but either way, like it's a big improvement for the town. So yeah.
And again, people understand that there weren't county dollars used there, it was just coordinated with them, so.
Yeah, like
In and out, what's that?
they did. So if you can see the mouse here, they did this north and south road on the edge of town, that's county road, and then they did the one east and west through town. And others are kind of everything left in that triangle with Highway 23.
Yeah. Where they paid their portion of it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we had our guys out there taking the tickets to separate them, so I guess you could say there was a little county contribution that way. We didn't find any of their minutes.
I just didn't want people to get the wrong impression that we're spending county dollars.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They paid their share.
Yeah, they paid all for all their own. Yep. No, that worked really well. I'd be real happy to do that again. Same things. Okay, next up would be, if I can get the right button here. Bridges and culverts for 24. The one on County Road 79. One for Elmer Township, one for Eden Township. 2 on County Road 81. That'd be at the start of the ditch there. 2025. We're looking at another group of overlays. County Road 4. And this is the one that Doug was alluding to for the concrete up to the elevator, which would be, make no mistake, nice to have. It'd be more expensive than bituminous, but that's a lot of heavy commercial traffic heading in and out of there. So we can certainly look at that, or maybe even do a bit alternate, you know, and then we pick at the opening which way we want to go. But so we've also scheduled programmed overlays on County Roads 13, 18, and 59 through Trotsky. That County Road 18 one, that's actually a federal project, so we're probably gonna have that as standalone, because if you let normal state aid projects with the federal project, it federalizes everything. So all the requirements come in, all the crazy additional testing, paperwork, all that stuff you have to do on your state aid projects. And it's probably not worth it.
What qualifies 18 federal project?
If traffic count, then we kind of have like, say our district gets so many dollars every year, we kind of keep track of it in our district level. We kind of take turns with that money. It's not like our state aid account where we get so much of it every year. I mean, you do a project with that money and we keep track of it that way. So,
There'd be no advantage to having them all federal, but it's an advantage. Money wise, or anything.
you're talking it's a bigger project, maybe a better bid price.
Yeah, you bid them all together, that's all federal. Is there any advantage to doing that? Not really. No.
I mean, theoretically, I suppose your mixed price might go down just a touch because it's a larger quantity. But no, I mean, it's just so much extra paperwork, and then when you get an audit. I think my first year I took over as engineer, we got a federal audit that year. And I estimated I got about a half a day's worth of work on my normal stuff, and another 4.5 were across the hall with the auditor. It was, I mean, we got a good report. So labor intensive dealing with the federal audit, so yeah, we'll look at it, but I'm thinking we'd probably split those apart.
Is the thickness of the federal project any different than the others?
I think we're probably gonna do a 2-inch. It's not just because it's federal, it's because that's what that road probably needs, you know, it's a major road for our county, and it needs a big overlay. So just looking ahead, we'd likely put a leveling patch over those patches we just put in, and then we do our overlay, so we'd end up with a nice ride on it. But I mean, that'd be a really great job. Doing a 2-inch overlay on that wide of a road from the Holland pavement all the way down to Edgerton. So, nice project. Bridges and culverts for 25. We have 3 of them on different spots on County Road 15. We plan to do the extension on County Road 25. 1 for Troy Township, 2 for Sweet Township. 2026. Another seal coat project. Tentatively have the widening of County Road 25 scheduled in there. But I also have a regrade on Main Street in Holland. I don't know if we want to tackle 2 grading jobs in 1 year. They look small, but grading work always takes a lot of time, staff time. Why I'm recommending a regrade on Main Street in Holland is because looking at their preliminary utility plan, they have so many trenches coming across there. I don't know when the last time that segment was regraded. So to me, it just makes sense to regrade that road completely when they have it all blown up anyway for the utilities. So another thing I plan on recommending for that is probably looking at us hiring their consultant to do that work, since they're going to have it all tore up anyway. They'll have the survey done. 2nd Street in town here, we tried doing it doing the surfacing independently with utility or independent of utility work. City did utility work, we did the surfacing, and it was so much duplication of work. You know, like everybody did their own survey, and everybody did their own this and that, and just it's a lot of duplication of work. I would like to at least try it this way, so we have something to compare to. We could probably look at that Second Street project and just say, okay, this is about how much it would take us to do the survey and the design and whatnot, and we would just probably say, hey, we'll put this much towards towards that city project. I think it'd work out a lot better.
Have they selected a contractor for that, you know?
I don't think a contractor, but they have, yeah,
But my reason is it's somebody you've worked with before.
no, no. Do you remember? I think I know, but I don't know if I want to say in case I'm
That's fine.
following.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, okay. I've heard of them. I think they've been around a while, but I've never. The consultants we usually work with are usually the bridge design ones, not the city ones. We worked with Banner. And that regrades from 2010. Then, you know, we work with their current consultant on some other smaller things, but I'm not afraid of the city's consultant out there, so. But
They're still in the seeking money stage, so
yeah, it's,
might take longer than you think.
yeah. Yeah, I don't want to get too out in front of it, but I don't want to be unprepared either, but I think that's gonna be how I'd like to tackle that one when that comes out, so.
And that makes good sense to do as much.
It's at least worth a try. So between that regrade in Holland and County Road 25 project, I'm thinking one of them is likely gonna move a year one way or another, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. With that, we also have another group of overlays. County Road 1, County Road 17. Also put in County Road 16 by Holland there, but once again, all that's kind of subject to change based on what they get for secure for grant money for the utility project. 20 County Road 24 along with that. And County Road 94, that's that old frontage road. I think it's the County 75, correct? Like, do you remember? Either way, it's a frontage road along County 23. So, bridge and culvert work.
23.
Wasn't that old 23?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, wrong number. Yeah, that's what I meant. Okay. Bridge and culvert work. One for Fountain Prairie. 3 on County Road 53. And then 1 on our County Road 77. Um, 2027, all we have scheduled now would be bridge and culvert work. We have 2 scheduled for culvert scheduled for County Road 10. That kind of, they're waiting for bond funding, so depending when that comes in and how far out that regrade is, we may want to wait on those, you know. Be nice ideally to do those say a year before paving, but if it's gonna be multiple years ahead, and we still could do it, but then maybe we want to patch it. That's why I have the delay question mark behind those 2. So we also have structures we'd like to replace on County Road 11. A group of them here on 16. For Osborne Township. 3 on County Road 80 and 1 on County Road 89. So that concludes 27. Here's a little history on our funding. If you look at the age of our bridges here in this graph, you'll see lots of work done in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, and we've been really, really aggressive with our bridge program for probably the last 10 years, and as you'll see, there's not a whole lot left from the 30s and 40s, which is amazingly good timing for us considering what culvert prices have done in the last 12 months. So, so yeah, we're actually kind of getting towards the end of the bubble on our bridges here, so that's huge relief for us. I'm looking at the right side, you'll see here's 4 years allotment history for town road and for our state aid. And one thing you'll notice, like our allotment now is awful similar to what it was back in 2020. You know, that's due to say electric cars not paying gas tax, and then people working remotely, they're just not selling the gallons. So you know, if you know, it's just a really tough spot for us right now, say mainly on culverts, you know, because like, well, our funding is staying the same. It's not even keeping up with regular inflation, and now the prices have doubled on them. So it's like, well, it's like half the work we used to do. So I'm really happy where we're at, you know, with our progress on bridges. And one little side note, if you look up here to the town road allotment in 22, you'll see that that's a huge number. Well, there was like a one-time bonus or whatever you want to call it that the state threw into the town road account. So that's up with that. Or that's what's up with that. It's not like it dropped off a whole lot. It's just doesn't, you know, this year didn't have the bonus that 22 had. So. Other than that, that's all I have for sure. That, I guess that concludes our 5-year plan presentation.
Very good, Nick. Thank you.
Any questions for us on that or other projects you'd like to see or thoughts, comments?
And do we need to take action on the approval of the 5-year? I entertain a motion.
So we'll
Okay, thank you.
second that.
Okay. And Alice, move the second. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes. I know when we got with our 5-year plan, you know, recently the state talked about their 5 and 10 year plan, and we questioned them on Highway 75 now. Have you had any more input or discussion with them?
No, I don't know where that gets done. They don't ask us for our input on it. I'm not saying they should or shouldn't, but I'm saying like I don't know how their process works. We're not involved with it.
The motion was last on 75.
Kind of know Morrison back yesterday, the passion polls yesterday.
There.
Straight up, you know.
I think last time I looked, Highway 30 wasn't in the 10-year plan either. So they'll have to do something out there.
Any other questions for Nick? Anybody? Gravel crushing upgrade, how's that going?
Haven't heard a word, haven't reached out. We're good doing overlays, so I don't really want to be here now anymore.
Eventually looking for used steel face roller bits, so if you check the DOT surplus, is that kind of one of your go-to places? Or?
Yeah, used to find, we found one in Sioux Falls once, and before I could do anything with it, it was gone, but there's a dealer that had one sitting, that used one sitting on a lot there, so that's probably what we'll keep looking at. We'll keep our eyes out at the DOT, but
sometimes DOT's got it pretty well used up by the time they sell.
it could, but
Sometimes not, you never know.
how many hours a year would you say you put on that steel wheel roller?
Oh, not lot, but it's, you need one.
You need one, but I don't want a new one, that's for sure.
And it's probably well used.
Yeah,
Once in a while, you might find that. You know,
so I don't know what to say, but considering the use, like, we could
You could end up,
get
you could
a,
end up doing new just because you can't find one too.
yeah, we may have to, but I don't know, we'll keep looking. I'd certainly like to go the used route. Same theory with that low boy hauler we got, you know, it's like, well, we just don't drive it enough to justify a brand new one, so like. That's why we're gonna use there, so.
well, very good. Thank you so much, Nick.
All right, the only other thing I had, not on the list, but just a quick update. We think the overlays should be done tomorrow. So that'll be nice. With the paving, I'll have to follow up with shouldering, right? Seemed like it went pretty well. They had an issue with some cold mix that ended up not packing out the way it should have west of Kaz, so I don't know if they're gonna get a mill back in time to replace that when they're here now, or if she'll have to come back later in the year, but either way, if you hear milling up the new pavement, that's what's going on with it. It got too cold and set. I think it's Friday they paved it. If you remember, it was not nice out that day. So, yeah, might have to mill some up, redo it. It's too bad, but that's on their cost, not ours.
That's why you supervise and take samples.
Yes, it is. Take cores and, I got it sitting on my desk. They're like falling apart in their place, so they didn't pack well. And I was out there this morning. I could see where they walked on it. You can still see their shoe prints. So if the roller can't knock out shoe prints, that means it didn't get the proper density on it. But stuff happens. They've been doing a good job. They've not upset with them, they're whatever mistake happened. So I'm fine with that. All right, any other questions for me? Otherwise, that's all I have. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, Jay, we're. Joining us is Jay Trump from Southwest Regional Development Center Director. He's going to give us a program update today.
Should I hook my laptop up or do you want the flash drives?
Oh, we can go ahead and hook your laptop up.
I thought that's what I remember. That's how I was.
And Jay, you have met our two village commissioners, haven't you?
I met Dallas for sure, and I'm pretty sure I am really, so I'm not sure about that.
Doug Daigle, our village commissioner.
When did Commissioner Nagel start?
Just this year.
Okay. Yeah, typically I meet all the new people at AMC, but I was not at AMC this year because I was having some health issues, so.
I believe it's your password. That'll be fine.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. I'm Dave, I'm Executive Director of South Regional Development, located in Slayton, Minnesota. Commissioner Hollingsworth is the Pipestone County rep, and we'll kind of talk a little bit about how the representation works. I've worked with Commissioner Johnson on the Energy Board and the Solid Waste Commission for a number of years.
This is Solid Waste Commission. I've never been on.
You've never been on the Energy Board?
The energy board.
Okay. I go back to Jack Hughes on the Energy Board.
They meet the same day, morning after, so easily combined.
Yes.
Let's see if it wants to work. Here we go. You can say our mission and purpose. What I always say when I do these kind of things is you look at our purpose. Develop plans or implement programs that address economic, social, physical, and governmental concerns. I've yet, and I've been doing this, it's my 22nd year, I've yet to find anything that won't fit into one of those categories if we really want. So what that basically means is our statutory purpose is to do what our constituents ask us to do. So basically our counties, our cities, our townships, when they get involved in something that they want us to take a hand in, we have the authority to do so under the statute. The original statute, the Regional Development Act, was passed in 1969. We were formally approved by Governor Wendell Anderson in 1973. So this is our 50th anniversary year as the commission. You see our membership, one member from each county board, as I said, Sharon Langford. Municipal member from each county, Pipestone Mayor Dan Delaney, just started. The former mayor, Myron Coots, was our chairman for a couple of years. Township member from each county. Wally Slinger is the new township, and I haven't even met him yet, so he's very new. And then one member from each city over 10,000. Of course, we've only got 2, so Worthington and Marshall, and we have the mayor of both of those communities. 2 school board members right now. Steve Sheeter, who used to be the Nobles County engineer, is also sits on the Worthington School Board. Now is actually working for the city of Worthington as their city engineer in retirement. Is one, and then Eric Hartman down in Rock County, who's their environmental services officer, is also on the Laverne School Board. So we get the benefits of having people on the school board that actually have a couple other hats that help with some of the other things that we're doing. Up to 8 public interest group members, and then of course 1 tribal representative. So we're full. We're at 41 people, and right now, really we're a few public interest group members short. On the governmental side, I needed a municipality rep from Redwood County, and we'll be full for the first time in quite some time. Last time I went to the Redwood City Council and asked for volunteers. They said, "Wow, you're doing a good job. We don't need to keep an eye on it." Well, that's not really the point, but our core programs: transportation, economic development, planning, communication, financial administration. For the transportation side of the house, area transportation partnerships, we staff both 7 and 8. We have a contract, it's a 2-year contract with MnDOT to do local transportation planning. So they pretty much determine what our workflow or our work plan is. There's a section at the back of the work plan that gives us a little bit of flexibility to do what some of the local engineers want done, but for the most part, MnDOT defines what our work plan is on that contract. Local human services transit planning every 5 years. We write a new transit plan for local human services. Our transit primarily comes out of UCAP in Marshall, so there are the RTCC is kind of responsible for that, although our staff wrote most of it. We have a transportation advisory committee, and then safe routes to school planning. Economic development, Robin Weiss, who's our deputy director, has been doing economic development for us. Does a good job. We had a lot of interesting things, of course, happened during the pandemic, economic development wise. And of course, right now she's trying to help out over in Wyndham, with that plant closure over there. They're talking about 1,100 jobs, about 500 of which is the estimate are H-1B visas. So those folks, if they lose their jobs, they have 10 days to find another job, or they have to leave the country. So there's a lot of issues going on right now.
Have they announced a closing date of the plant yet?
As of last week, they said we're going to close in 2 weeks, but they didn't give a specific date that I'm aware of. So I mean, they didn't, but the last I heard, they said a week ago, they said 2 weeks.
I heard yesterday they were gonna have an auction the 26th, so this Friday, try to sell the facility. Yes, well, no more if that pans out or not.
I talked to Carrie Bendix from the Private Industry Council last Monday, and she said they were still holding on hope that there might be a buyer for the facility that could keep it open. So I guess we'll all hope that they find a buyer. And keep that facility.
I also heard that if it doesn't sell, then Worthington plans considering going Saturdays or something to at least absorb some of the hogs that are.
Yeah, it's gonna be a pretty big deal. 1,100 jobs, all those hogs. It's gonna be a pretty big deal for a time that whole part of it.
Especially after you build a bunch of water projects and apartments and whatnot.
There are a couple of departments that are about halfway, they're about halfway done with the project. They might lose the people that were there. That's gonna really hurt the city of Wyndham.
Right.
Our revolving loan funds, we have the standard revolving loan fund and what we call the CRLF, which is the COVID RLF. And the case. These are some examples in Pipestone County the last 3 years. And it's there. The COVID RLF was an interesting thing. The original revolving loan fund came about after the '93 floods. It was disaster money that the federal government gave us $1 million to loan out to businesses to try to recover from that. And we've revolved that about 8 times now. And that program just keeps being successful. We got a call at the beginning of the pandemic from our federal partners at the Economic Development Administration and said, well, would you take almost $1.5 million of additional revolving loan funds? We won't have quite as many strings attached. You can do 0% financing if you want for the first year, but you have to get all the money spent in 2 years. I took to my board. We talked about whether or not we thought there would be an appetite for that kind of debt, right in the middle of the pandemic. But we thought, well, my board said, well, what's the worst thing that'll happen? We don't get it all spent in 2 months or in 2 years, but we have to send it back to the feds. That's not the end of the world if that happens. But it took us about 10 months to get all the money out. There was a pent-up demand, as it turned out, for loan funds and low interest loans to a lot of business, a lot of restaurants, for example. They were closed anyway. Well, it's perfect. I've been gonna redo my restaurant for the last 10 years, but I don't want to close. Now I'm closed. I'm gonna get the money and do it right now. So we had a lot of that. We ended up we bought an airplane with revolving loan fund monies. We had a crop duster who had a business and more work than he could do, and was basically sitting on, had a pilot, needed a plane, and didn't want to pull the trigger on it. And then the money became available for this. All right. So it went down to Iowa, got the plane, and so there was a lot of that people that had been sitting back with plans that didn't want to go forward. They used this money to go forward. So that was a good thing for us. You see local businesses. We do an RLF spotlight periodically on our Facebook page, so you can if you're interested to see what's going on in the revolving loan fund world. We do startups, expansion, working capital, energy efficiency. We typically try to avoid capital projects because it's federal money that brings in a lot of other legal issues in terms of how we have to approach things. So most times on a project, we have to have a primary lender, this gap financing. So we'll end up having as collateral, having a piece of equipment. We've had even a personal Harley Davidson one time that somebody pledged as collateral. So, when you come in at second or third, and we've even been come in as low as fifth on a congregate project. And what we basically do is we buy down the risk of the bank, and they like that. And so if you come in and you want $100,000 and the bank looks at you and says, well, we'll give you 70, you can come to us for the remaining 30, and we'll take the decision behind the bank. Loan administration, we also do some loan administration for other communities. Right now, they're all in Jackson County. We have in the past done some temporary work in Worthington for when they were short on staff. And they had some staff turnover that was going and keep an eye on things for them as well.
What's Falcon Development?
Falcon Development is a local development organization. Many communities in our region and across the state have received small cities funds or Minnesota infrastructure or investment funds. Once those funds come back to the city, they can be relent, but it's federal dollars, so you still have to follow federal guidelines. You can, however, transfer those funds from your local government entity to what's called a local development organization. And then the first time that gets loaned out and comes back, it's non-federalized. So Falcon Development they had Heron Lake and Lakefield, they were sitting on some funding that they weren't able to get rid of because there was too many federal restrictions on it. And so Robin went in and helped them form this LBO so that they could remove the federal restrictions and get the money out to local businesses. Project partners. I had a problem with RLF finding pictures because all the pictures I have, I was already using in the presentation because Porter Corner was our project of the year last. So that's in Holland. So every year at our annual meeting, we have a project of the year. So I know that our awards committee is meeting probably before the June board meeting. Our annual meeting is in July. So we'll see who next year's award winners. Planning comprehensive land use plans. Tracy was our most current one. We are currently negotiating with Murray County. Lyon County to do a couple of updates, and Lyon County's got a very specific thing they kind of want us to do, so we're talking just preliminary about that. So that'd be a little while probably before we get in on that. As Commissioner Johnson said, solid waste, that plan, Rosemary and our staff working on that, active living, and the rural and energy board, of course. Communications, Jessica Wellyu, who's from Pipestone originally here. Does our communications work. You see this big area TV tour. This is one of the things that she's done in the past. They had like 3 websites and 4 social media sites, and she went in and did a media audit and consolidated a lot of the things, so they have a more direct and a more cohesive message, and so she does that on the contract.
Is that her on the 4-wheeler?
No. Financial administration, we're currently short on finance staff right now, so we're and minimum of this, but we haven't passed for the energy board and ACE providing financial services administration. Okay. We lost our finance director in December, so we moved up our finance person. Now we're kind of back to that position. We're pretty small staff, so it's when we're down 1 or 2, it can really affect us. Recent projects. You can see Friends of Casey Jones, the first regional trails plan, which I know the staff came presented here. And I know Jessica is coming to AMC at the June 8th meeting to kind of present on some of the things she's working on. All right, questions? Anybody have any comments? Commissioner Hollingsworth, anything you'd like to add?
Covered everything really well there. I just want to welcome you back too. Glad to have you back. So
Yeah, it's good to be back.
it's pleasant to see you earlier this month at the meeting.
Yeah, I missed December board meeting was the last time I was in person. Until May.
But yeah, I don't have anything else to add. I do want to show appreciation for Jessica, all the hard work she's been doing with Explore Southwest and the Friends of the Casey Jones Trail. She's been outstanding with those 2 groups, in my opinion.
No, I agree. It's interesting. as you go through the list of activities there, the number of them that were all involved, let's work together. So you had ACE on there as well, too, another one of those, yes. You've been a great partner for us and certainly appreciate that. We appreciate that.
I don't know if you were around when that changed from RSVP to ACE, but I actually did the facilitation for that group that came up with that name. Also, so the county board members at the time decided that if they couldn't be RSVP, that's what they wanted.
And as you know, of course, Jill Touring now is the ACE representative here in Pipestone County. It's working out very well.
All right, well, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you
Thanks for coming.
very much.
Okay, we've got just a couple minutes then before our 10 o'clock Zoom down with hometown fiber. Can you get them online soon, or should we just take a short break?
Let's take a recess so I can get everything set up for that. That would be great. Let's do that.
Further, effort that, the ability for your population to teach critical services. I guess that my plea to you is to say, if not now, when, because I really don't believe the private sector can function serve those 880 people. You can wait for workshop, maybe the numbers will be. Really don't believe it. So, if there's a way to survey those citizens, I would use it quickly. I give them a lot of money. I mean, ownership thing, I have one of them. So, if you were to, I can read the people pretty well, I don't just by the name. If you were to change your name and decide, okay, not another point, not now, it may be never. What does that mean for the long term? What do you think the long term viability of the community? And you think, okay, well, maybe we are. You don't have to own it forever. Now, I will tell you that you can, in order to preserve the tax exemption on one, you cannot enter into an agreement on day one to sell it in the future. That right there is going to shoot in the head in terms of tax exemption. Don't have to own it forever. Once those offers came out, you don't have an asset. That asset has a huge amount, and that asset will probably increase in value just like a little bit of method. But the fiber is known to have a 50+ year useful life. On it as well. You will have and get used. So let's say that you're not allowed about owning it for a paper. You can sell it in 20 years. We can't have a pre-design thing. John Doe will be deciding. That's the problem, but you don't have to build it. If you have a facility, I had a client, you around the cost of a 250 some odd population in hospital that front, but their population has grown way now. And when they were first born, they did not have electric, gas, water, sewer, blah, 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 mirrors, and nothing. So they actually built the power, gas system, as well as the traditional utilities of water and sewer. But they have been sold their electric utilities and their gas utilities. They got to the point where they never put money on it. And was going to decision was I was saying. But I'm here to tell you that they were able to sell those assets. I can give you the example, they are the numbers. So I have confidence that this is a utility that you will be able to sell in the future. With that, I will get on the phone.
It's fine, and I acknowledge your thought process there, and I concur with you with a lot of it. We understand the economic viability of this area, and it's critical, and we need this not only just to attract new young families here, but every farm out there isn't just a farm, it's a business, and these businesses require to have updated technology. We all understand the importance of it. The one rebuttal I will have, though, it's difficult to compare our region, because we're not a growing region, to what you referred to, some of the projects here in Utah, where that population is growing. We don't have that much area, so it puts a completely different viewpoint on things. We have to be able to make this work. So, I guess the other thought I'd like to convey to you is that we truly and sincerely appreciate your partnership in this, because we know how important it is. We know how hard you guys have worked to try and make this happen. But in the end, I just personally am not convinced that there aren't some other alternatives we haven't fully explored yet. We've got here in this region, we've got a Blandon Foundation that's been very involved with broadband development. We got a report from our SRDC, it's our rural development, and they also communications is part of their mission as well too. So we do have other sources to work with, again in conjunction with privately owned companies that have already done a terrific job of getting a third of the system, a third of the county built. And it's hard to say just in a short 7 years. 7 years isn't short, but it's got that capability. So I personally, I believe that we've got some other avenues that I still would like to be able to maintain a working relationship with you, but it's not fair to hometown fiber. It's not fair to our citizens for us to continue just to kick this can down the road. I think at some point we have to step up and make a decision. So again, please.
I wasn't sure if I couldn't hear exactly what you referred to rural development in terms of
This SRDC is the Southwest Regional Development Group, and it's a cooperative group. And they work with us on a number of different issues, and transportation is one, of course. Communications is another one. So we do have.
Board Chair, if I may, I don't know if I'm.
Yeah, great. Go, please, Kyle.
Thanks, Jerry. One of the things that you can do with other participating members, other funding sources, is further mitigate the risk to the county. I mean, that's really how that would play in. If you could put that into the grant amount that the county would award to the project, or you could put it into debt services, or you could take the county grant amount to zero and put it all into debt services. And that's some of the variables that we're struggling with, because we don't know where you guys want to be or land. So I put that together for that. And the one last thing I'd like to say is we are under the current contract with you to provide that survey. We put together this survey, and we're right now it's a draft one. We're looking for feedback on questions you may want to answer, things like that, and then we can perform the survey. The reason that we're bringing the engineering request before you ahead of getting the survey done and all these things is the timing of it. We just are in an awkward spot for timing. You don't want to miss the grant window because it's a significant opportunity to get the funding that's absolutely necessary for this to happen.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna. Seems very intense to be made. Time that we take our heels in this one, easier, softer options that may or may not produce anything. These numbers go up, that population goes down, and this becomes less and less feasible.
And the one other thing I'd like to add, Chairman, is we did do our diligence as well. We did, really drill and, had some uncomfortable meetings with people to really find the breaking points and where they're at, what their likelihood is. Because one of the things that we wanted to explore is whether or not this could be privately built without your cooperation. Because I've known from the first time we met that this was something that you wanted to explore. How can we entice, the private sector to come in and do this? And this is our recommendation. this is what we came to as your consultant. So we're here at your, we're serving you at your leisure. You don't owe us anything. We're here to give you these numbers. I appreciate the business and the support that you've given us, and we'd like to be able to wave a magic wand and make these numbers work better. Believe me, I would, but I also understand that it's a very dynamic situation that you're facing as a board, and I think I'll just rest this and say that this is our recommendation.
If indeed we as a group decide to go ahead and put a hold on things at this point, I hope that that doesn't sever an ongoing relationship, because again, we appreciate what you've done for us, and we know it's an ongoing thing, but I just personally don't feel it's fair to keep dragging this out. It can't be-
No.
No, we're here, we're here. We're here to, we give you the information, you make the decisions, we get the laws, I'm just, so we're not.
Thank you. I'm glad you feel that way too, because again, we appreciate what you've done, but unless I'm misreading my other commissioners here, I just don't feel that we're in a position today to make that kind of commitment. So I don't know, from a format standpoint, we don't have, I guess, a specific question before us at this time. So I don't know if we take specific action or take action not to take action, what would be the correct procedure here? I guess it is, unless somebody is willing to make a motion that we move forward at this point.
The one thing, Chairman, we did put a proposal before you for the engineering. And, it would help us if that got wrapped up, yay or nay, if you could, I hate to, ask you.
No, I understand. That was one question I have too, is where are we out there existing commitment to you? We have already committed to different parts of the project. First one, of course, is, developing that, going where the existing fibers at and so forth.
Yep, all that's produced, these are this cable was issued. And so that part of the contract has been completed. We have this internet survey that we're gonna put out. And then there was some grant applications, that were in the latest scope of work. The problem with the grant applications is I wouldn't feel comfortable putting all the time, money and resources of the county at a grant application when there isn't support for the grant, or for the project. So I think those.
I'm close to verifying.
Yeah, those would drop off our scope, but if you want, we can finish the survey. But if we're gonna apply for the grants, we have that engineering proposal in front of you for the 300. And that's what we need some direction on from you today. And we as 1.5 would appreciate that. And
I guess my thought on that is I would appreciate if you and our administrator, Steve Ewing, looked at where we're at, what we paid for to you so far, what we're committed to, what work product we got from that, what work product that we own, what work product is hometown fibers, so that we can make an informed decision. But I don't feel that today it'd be appropriate to commit to doing the survey. Let's see where we're at before we spend any more money. Well, we've been obligated for part of the survey, but I understand that we paid for part.
I think that's correct, yes.
Yeah, I think we paid half of that survey, something of that effect.
That's 42,000.
Yeah.
Was that part of the, that's
I think-
42,000, was that part of the survey part of it?
there's 15,000 left. You paid half, and there's half left roughly.
Right.
But we wouldn't build a
21.
half the project. If you want projects on the project, we're not gonna bill you for something you don't want or need. We'll just stop working on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I kind of needed some direction, because I want to know what to do or not do at this point.
Okay, then if you would coordinate with Steve, and then we meet again in 2 weeks, and at that point, I think we can make a decision on whether we go forward with the survey. I need more information before we make that decision. What did we pay for? What would it cost us if we went forward with the survey, or just where we're at?
What we have left to pay is approximately $21,000. There's a second part billing that we haven't received yet.
Okay.
That's what we've got left of that last resolution we did several months ago.
You guys all right with that concept? Or
Well, if we haven't paid for the survey, then we could stop at this point.
Mhm.
This is where I was thinking we had paid for the survey already, so that's why I'm asking about the survey.
let's get a spreadsheet put together on what we paid for, what we hadn't paid for, where we're at with our commitment to you. And then we can make an informed decision what we do, the next step or no step. We don't know.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate the feedback on that.
And again, I'm sincere when I say I appreciate all the work that you've done. And I don't want you to be thinking that those guys were not sincere. We've been sincere all the time. We know I'm part of this.
I appreciate how difficult the decision is for the board and how serious you have taken this and tackled this issue from every conceivable angle, doing your due diligence, and we're part of that due diligence. And like I said, there's no hard feelings here. We're here to serve your interests. So we're a resource that's available to you when you need it.
And as we look at our crystal ball, maybe things will turn around and we'll move forward at a future date. We don't know that at this point. Too many variables. Anybody else got any questions at all?
Mr. Chairman, I have it right here to what we paid so far. We did a base bid. Initially, we paid $99,950 for our project back in 22 to get started on this. Then we had our consulting services that was in 23, and that was $42,890. So our total encumbrance to them was $142,840 to Hometown Fiber. We have paid the progress invoices. The $99,950 is completely paid off. And we have $21,445 left of the $42,890 consulting services bill. So to date, we have paid them $121,395 with a balance left of $21,445. Those dollars so far have been paid out of ARPA monies.
And again, we've got physical work product
Mhm.
that we own from that investment. That is a product that we need moving forward. So it's not that's going to score on the page. Okay, thank you.
I'll put this on the agenda for June 13th.
June 13th.
Yes.
Very good. Would you guys be able to join us on June 13th? And then we will figure out where we're at moving forward at that point. Bye.
Yeah, for my own clarification, what are we doing June 13th? Or are we line itemizing the best? The technical representation?
Yes.
That's.
So, I'm available to 13th. Be happy to attend the meeting, Chairman.
And in the meantime, then if you and Steve would coordinate a little bit, so we've got a spreadsheet that we can look at, see exactly where we're at. Let's go forward. Very good. It is 11 o'clock. Again, I thank you for joining us, and we will move on with our agenda at this point, unless you got any closing comments that you'd like to address with us. Okay. Hearing none, then should we take a real brief recess?
Sure.
I think that'd be more. So. It is 11:06. We'll wait just for a moment for Luke to step back in, and we'll come back out of recess. Bear with us just for a moment. He was right behind you.
That's all.
Okay. Out of recess then. The next item on the agenda tonight or this afternoon is Bill Folger, our IT director, Mike Hamer, our chief deputy sheriff. And it's a couple questions we're looking at with them. So if you come forward. You want to talk about open access first, or you want to talk about towers?
Open access is what you guys do. So the proposal is to change our policy or adopt a policy, county policy that says we're gonna publish our data. We're gonna give our data away for free, our GIS data, property tax data, which is all available everywhere on the internet already. And we're gonna publish it at MinGeo. And then applications that already use this data will just tap into MinGeo and grab the data from there. And then we will actually have more control over it because we'll be able to keep that more accurate, more updated as moving forward.
So the data that will be free is the electronic data that's already on the network that people got access to.
You can get it from our website right now, pretty much any of this data. We do charge for a data set. Right now, where we have, that's what our policy states now. We have never had very many takers a year. I don't know, kind of what do you think of per year?
Yeah, we eliminated the fee about a year or so ago, but I've had about, in the past 10, 15 years, we were selling about, we're profiting about $900 a year, at the most probably. So we were selling our GIS data to about 3 vendors per year.
And if you would, for the public, elaborate exactly what the acronym GSI stands for, so we understand.
Graphical information system. Yeah. Which is all the polygons that make up all the different, everything from property lines to road data. The most interesting ones for most people are the property lines.
Yeah. We are going to still maintain our authority to charge for hard copies if people need a hard copy. So I understand.
I suppose that would fit into that
Yeah.
time that it takes to make it and that small amount for the material.
Paper.
Nobody wants to print a copy.
Not anymore.
But
Everybody wants digital.
they want digital, and for the most part with them, we just send it to them in their email. FTP.
Chair, move the approve open access to GIS.
Okay, thank you, Chris. There's a second. Thank you, Doug. Move a second then to approve this request for board action for the open access to the PSI data. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
So the second thing is for a camera on our North Hiawatha. Primary use of this camera will be for safety data for weather, for watching weather as weather approaches us. We'll have an opportunity more than likely to put this on the tower, combine it with another project. So the tower climb will, whenever this happens, will probably be less, I guess, depending on what vendor we go with. The low bidder has there's some gonna be taking place for.
Yeah, so if you remember, we were before the board a couple, 3 years ago about Federal Aviation Administration wanting to put a radio receiver up on there to talk to their satellite to have a redundant path to there. Well, it's taken this long to get to the point of just getting equipment ordered. So we've been receiving payment from the FAA for the lease on the tower, but have yet to take it on. That's gonna be happening here in the next probably 60 days. Now we've worked with them, with our vendor, to be able to have our group go climb and mount that. So this, we can save some money, hopefully because the expensive part is climbing the tower. That we can hopefully mount this at the time. So Bill and I thought this may be a good time. For the last couple of years, we talked about this to approach the board and see if we get action move forward on buying the hardware for the camera and then using this project hopefully together to minimize the labor.
Makes good sense. So your specific ask then, Bill, is calls you got from the West Alarm, is that what I understand?
There's one from Midwest Alarm, and one from Alpha Wireless, and my recommendation would be to go with the Alpha Wireless code.
And again, this would be coordinated with that other claim, so. Yes,
The FAA thing that they want on, and then this thing, are they at two different levels of the tower?
So I don't, we haven't really discussed we'd have to, optimize where the camera mount would be. To be able to optimize the view for the dispatch center, right? So we're not sure if, I think the camera will probably be a little taller than where that receiver is gonna be for the FAA.
Okay.
And the FAA is paying for, their stuff to be mounted there, so that's kind of the point, right? To get the tower crew there is like $7,500.
I noticed between the two different bids, two quotes or whatever, they mentioned a different footage of climbing in each one, and I wondered, are they thinking about doing the same thing, or?
I think the difference is Alpha Wireless is the vendor taking care of the FAA install,
Okay,
and Midwest Alarm is not.
okay,
So I think that where you'll see that difference in that, okay, we're paying from, A to B, FAA is paying for, we're paying from B to C. With Alpha Wireless and the Midwest Alarm, we pay from A to C,
okay,
if that makes sense.
sure. Mhm.
very good. I would entertain a motion then to accept one of these two bids, and again, Bill, your recommendation is the Alpha Wireless bid.
Move for approval.
Okay, thank you, Luke.
I'll support that.
Okay, moved and supported to accept the Alpha Wireless bid for the $8,201.88. Any further questions or discussion?
Just one question. It's in miles of PPV panels. Just wondering.
Correct.
Who will be operating?
You'll be available in dispatch.
We can operate remotely, maybe with an app or something.
Yeah, with the same software they already use.
Any idea on their availability to install?
But we think it'll be in the next 60 days because we've been organizing this with that FAA install, but the wheels move real slow there on that side of stuff, so we're kind of, I would assume here, it probably won't make the weather season we're in now, but our biggest thing is just all year round. Our dispatch center's in the middle of the building, our staff there don't know what's going on. Can't see there. So, and this is also going to be used for security for that site too. So in addition to that, we have a lot of stuff getting fed in and out of there. We don't have any on-site security there for visual. So we're hoping to use this as two things. There it is. I think.
Okay, any further questions or discussion?
Can this see in all directions or just one way, or?
All directions, it'll probably have one spot where the pole is that it's mounted to, or it won't be able to see, but otherwise all directions.
So in theory, with the PTZ cameras, they'll be remotely able to move that, right? So the viewer can say, can grab the app and whether it's going to be touchscreen or with a mouse and move that in a 360 degree circle. Well,
Sure.
obviously, there's a little bit of that tower arm. It's going to, but we'll maximize that so the majority of the view will be such, and then they can also zoom in and zoom out, and we'll have it sit, whether we can actually make it so it can do like a normal control routine, so to speak, or we can have it focused on like the driveway and the building to the site. I guess we haven't made it best yet.
With my history, you can do those on night timing. So like when operations done, then it can scan all over. When operations on, it can be right there at the wherever.
Yeah, it was really nice technology.
Well, Chris, with your experience, we don't really need to.
I don't find hours. Oh. Look at this. Scissors left, scissors left.
Further questions at all? Okay, all in favor of the bid with Alpha?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Pass it unanimous.
Thank you.
guys. Then Mike, if you would stay there, you got some more stuff to report for us on the task force.
So yeah, I've submitted for board action approval of the joint powers agreement between us and the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension for funds to be available to the Pipestone County Sheriff's Office from the anti-heroin task force monies that's available at the federal level. Unfortunately, we're more likely all aware of the opioid epidemic we're in the middle of, and we've definitely been affected locally by that recently. And so our department takes on extra time investigating those opioid overdoses and distribution. The Buffalo Ridge Drug Task Force has already been part of this JPA with BCA for several, couple, 3 years of I think. We have access to money through the Buffalo Ridge Drug Task Force for hours that have been spent on opioid overdoses and opioid distribution, sales, and purchases and such investigations. This just singles out the Pipestone County Sheriff's Office to be able to do that, because obviously when we have a situation that arises regarding that, we are taking on extra expenses and overtime at our department. Not just the task forces, we were having our patrol deputies and our investigative division helping do that. And so this is going to allow us to be able, as the Pipestone County Sheriff's Office, ask for funds to reimburse that back. So that those funds would be reimbursable back to us for the hours that are worked on that case or cases.
And these funds that are through the state, so this has got nothing to do with the pharmaceutical settlement. The
No.
settlement money that's gone to help.
No, Mr. Chairman, different.
This is way this is a different, this is the anti-heroin task force, which is a federally funded federally funded grant that the BCA, the Minnesota Criminal Apprehension, facilitates basically, right? So they're the people that we go to. So we have a heroin or an opioid overdose that we're investigating for like a murder in a 3rd degree investigation for anyone who was helping facilitate that overdose. We have a lot of man hours in getting that put together. And we just simply have to let the BCA know that we have that going, a brief synopsis or summary of what that case involves. We move forward, document the hours. I submit the hours back to them at the time, we're starting to conclude that, or as we go. Some of these things take months, some take weeks, but it just takes a lot of time. And so.
But I just want to clarify that this has got nothing to do with the settlement. This is a state program, state funds.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I was just wondering, if part of the overtime that you may have to cover is just the amount of documentation that this requires.
So they actually made the documentation for submitting reimbursements relatively easy with this. Now that would be covered, right? So, so if I had 2 hours in submitting that, but honestly, it's like a 15-minute, like here's a
So it's
summary.
not as bad as it sounds.
They're looking for an overview summary when you initiate the investigation or distribution investigation. And it basically is, because a lot of the information really can't be shared anyways, right? Because the sensitivity of it. So it's relatively, we've used it with the Buffalo Ridge Task Force, and it's a real easy process to submit. You just got to stay in contact with the local BCA agent that we use here locally. And it's a simple phone call, document a couple of things.
Well, you're lucky because a lot of the documentation through other agencies is much more burdensome than what you're describing.
Well, and that's just it, right? Is that is correct. And we've dealt with that with other situations of sometimes it takes more to get the money than to just deal with getting the money, right? With the money you get for it. But this is, in my opinion, well worth the agreement to be involved with. And yeah, it's not that impactful of time consuming to get the money back in those situations. Any time that's spent on that obviously would be reimbursable. But a lot of times I talk to the commander of the task force and just asked him, and he's like, yeah, it's 15-20 minutes at the most. It's relative. Because the BCA agent's typically involved with us, helping with that too. So we just gotta cross the T's and dot the I's, and the reimbursement comes back relatively soon. So,
Okay.
So the action we're looking at here is to formally adopt this agreement.
Right.
Okay. Is there a motion to that effect?
I think that must be it.
Chris, thank you. Any further question, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
thank you.
Thank you, right here. We'll get you some signatures, guys.
Yeah, whenever Steve can get it to me.
Yep,
I'll get
no
it.
problem.
Personnel. Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I have a few items, for the board this morning. The first two are announcements. So Braxton Thompson is our current, jail intern. He has done really well and we would like to hire him on as part-time daily dispatcher effective June 1st. So, I don't know that that takes special action. I think they have discretion to hire part-timer or direction. So just so you guys know, he is staying on with us as a part-time daily dispatcher starting June 1st.
Was he one of the students that started as a student in high school? Fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you.
Nice to have a successful intern. but
Someone brought that up at the EMC last time. People were, thought that was a, we were surprised about that program. Really? You guys are doing that now? This shows that how successful.
That's really good to have.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and then the other items I have relate to the assessor's office. So we do have an accepted offer from Alexis DeGroat, and she will be starting next week. Tuesday, May 30th as a junior appraiser. I don't need particular board action for that one here, but just wanted to make you guys aware that we do have another new employee starting.
Yeah, because it's backfilling existing position.
Yep. And then along with that, Chris McChesney has decided that they don't have a need to fill the second appraiser position at this time. Emily is doing some work with the assessor's office as well, our reporter. So between her and our new hire, they kind of have their plates full with training. But she would like to backfill. Chris was the deputy assessor previously. She would like to fill that position. We only have one internal candidate within the county that has the AMA certification, which is required for that role. And that is Lisa Braun, who is currently a senior appraiser. So Chris would like board approval to promote Lisa Braun into that position effective June 1st. And then in conjunction with that, we would also like to update the job description effective immediately. And the only change in the job description is the removal of the requirement to obtain your SAMA within 2 years of the hire date. Reason being, we feel that job requirement is a little heavy unless they are looking to become the county assessor. They don't need the SAMA designation to perform any of the duties in this job classification. So all of the duties within this position can be done with an AMA. And we just change it to a preferred, because obviously it would be great if we had a candidate with that or wanted to pursue that. We would still encourage that, but we would not no longer require that within 2 years.
Kathy, when you drop the senior appraiser part, is that you take that into consideration on the wage scale that you drop that off with?
So typically with our current method, the DBM method, it's based on job duties and responsibilities. So since the job duties and responsibilities did not change significantly, it's typically has to be 5 to 10% change one way or another to impact the job rating. So it would not impact the job rating for this position.
And currently she is one of our appraisers. So what level is she at as an appraiser if she comes up to this deputy position?
It's about a 6 to 7% increase. So, and that's factoring in, she will have to start over with her step. As of June 1st, she won't be eligible again until June 1st of next year, and she would have been eligible in December of this year. So that's factoring that as well.
Jared, move for approval.
Thank you. It's been moved and thank you, Dallas, to approve Lisa Braun's increase to the deputy assessor position. Further discussion, questions?
And change the job description.
And it doesn't go with their job description. Yeah, and remove that SMA requirement. Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Right.
Anyone opposed? Pass unanimously.
Thank you very much.
I really like to see that potential growth within departments like that. Work from the research to the set to depth assess that. I like that. Growth opportunity.
Sure. Great, well, thank you guys.
No other personnel items at all. Steve, did you have anything else? And as we said, we're gonna postpone the Juneteenth until next month.
Last thing I had was Commissioners Employee Appreciation Grill Out.
Oh, yes.
That's generally held in June of each year. Usually the third Tuesday, as that seems to be a commonly open day for commissioners to do that. Last year we did it on the Tuesday and third Tuesday in June. We had about 50 people attend over at EMS. Again, this is a appreciation of county commissioners to the employees, and you guys split all the costs for it. Last year I looked back and you guys paid $68 a piece. And we fed over 50 people, and employees do enjoy that. They are appreciative of the board doing that, and it'd be nice to do again if the board chooses to do so. And if there's any leftovers, brats, things like that from the EMS week open house, which is Thursday night over at EMS, you're all welcome to come over there too. We'll be grilling brats and hot dogs for the public, and so if there's leftovers, that we put that towards this too. So they're a good way to do it. So I don't know if that date works for you. I guess you have to check the calendar and let me know. It's Tuesday, the 23rd of June.
20th.
Excuse me, 20th, pardon me.
That is a day of one of our various board meetings here, but normally you get out here.
No, it's not.
No, it's the third Tuesday. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. My calendar did not.
Yeah. I try to stay away from board meeting dates. It's just too much to get done in time.
The time is that?
It's usually 11:30 to 1.
We would need to be available. What time?
Probably 11.
11-ish to grill and that type of thing. You guys set up and do the grilling and stuff. Kathy and I take care of most of the logistical stuff for it. So,
Appreciate you guys helping.
yeah,
us all.
absolutely.
Lunch meat in the bakery.
What's that?
Lunch meat in the bakery.
Absolutely. Now, do we get Jimmy buns or do we get regular buns? Like, Jimmy buns, okay. Children, okay.
Well, yeah, that doesn't take the action. That's just.
No, not at all. Just
Yeah,
come to an agreement on it. So
Let me know how many dozen.
we'll do.
You have one of those. Maps where you know, nope.
They really need help now, so maybe you.
I have to borrow an apron to that, so.
Last thing, Mr. Chairman and board members, you've got AMC District 8 meeting on June 8th in Rock County. I don't know the location yet. I haven't seen that. Does anybody else know what the location is yet?
Generations Event Center.
Generations Event Center?
Generations Event Center. 105 South Estes Street.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
I won't be able to be there at that AMC meeting. I will be up north.
Good for you.
Boundary Waters again?
No, this is about like Boundary Water as well. That's
fast.
where I guess there are at least 2 older carry. Like it might be doing fly and that would be live. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, second, all in favor. Aye. And thank you guys for covering it.